Welcome back, everyone. Next up, we have Third Bench Holding. It trades on the OTC Pink sheets under the symbol NECA, employs over 140 people, and realized revenue in excess of $18.8 million in 2020. Third Bench Holdings is a holding company for 3 subsidiary companies operating as an architectural millwork and dealers in the cabinetry, kitchen, and bath areas. Please welcome its founding partner and CEO, David Fair. Welcome, David.
Well, thank you so much for having me on today. Truly a pleasure to be here. And as we mentioned, we actually recently listed on the OTC Pink with NECA. Completed that about 2 weeks ago. So we're very excited to be here and excited to share with you Third Bench. We really kind of started this concept back in 2018, and in 2019 we completed our first acquisition of an architectural millwork and have since completed three acquisitions to date. And again, just kind of a fun fact, all these pictures throughout the presentation are actually jobs that have been performed and completed by one of our companies. And trying to get to the next slide. Okay, there we go. So as mentioned, I'm one of the founding partners and the chief executive officer. I personally come from a long background of strategy and M&A, but have really kind of focused on this space over the past couple of years. Have been very enthusiastic about just the general construction space, but particularly with the cabinetry and countertop space. It's always really great when you're owning and operating a company where an everyday person can see their products in their home every day they walk out. So we also have David Reese. He's a founding partner and the head of our sales department. He comes from an extensive background as an owner-operator, has worked in various sectors, but really has mainly focused on technology and consumer products. So brings with him a wealth of experience and knowledge within, not just within this space, but other spaces that can be applied to for operations. And then we have Dave Gregg. Dave Gregg is the acting chief operating officer and has been working with us for about a year now. He really brings, again, with him a ton of experience, over 40 years as an executive, an owner operator, and has extensive operational experience. Began his career in the manufacturing space on the technology side. And then after being an executive for about 20 years, has spent the last 20 years in the construction space, and particularly on the residential construction side. So really, between the three of us, we bring a wealth of knowledge, understanding, and experience that we are applying to Third Bench. And we're very excited about the future of this company. I mean, not only have we been able to bring several different entities together, but really we're at a point here in the history of the country where the housing demand is, it is something that we will probably never see again in our lifetime. Inventory levels are at an all-time low. Interest rates are at an all-time low. So this is really going to spur a lot of just long-term demand of what we're seeing in the housing and construction space, and a long-term demand for cabinetry and the kind of products that we're providing in the market right now. So as mentioned, we have a couple of different, we've acquired 3 companies, and we've recently started Third Bench Stone. So Third Bench we've been building out our corporate entity over the past year, and really have been trying to consolidate a lot of operations. Recently, we've completed consolidating accounting of all the operations at our corporate headquarters here in Albuquerque. And then really we fall into 2 different categories, or 2 different operating categories. So one being our retail outlets, which really drive a lot of the residential sales. And then we have our manufacturing side, which again services not only the commercial side, but also the residential side of our business. So through Davis and Sherwood, we've been able to acquire really what have been very well recognized regional brands of cabinetry and countertops. Between Davis, which really is located in Tucson, Arizona, really is a commanding and dominant brand in the region. It's been around since 1975, and we had the opportunity to acquire it. And it is really throughout southern Arizona and into Phoenix and even into Flagstaff. We service builders throughout the entire state. Sherwood is again another very dominant player in its respective markets. So it's located in Las Cruces, New Mexico, and it really services all of southern New Mexico. And we've recently been able to break into the El Paso and West Texas market, which we think there is phenomenal opportunity there. I was providing cabinets for large regional and national builders. Through our manufacturing side, we acquired OGB, Architectural Millwork, which was our initial acquisition, located in Albuquerque. It is really a large regional player. We service customers as far out as occasionally out in California and as far east as Dallas, Texas. But it is really a regional and dominant player within New Mexico, Arizona, and West Texas. When we initially acquired it, it was more of a custom operation. However, over the past 2 years, we have been able to implement some product lines. Our most recent product line has been our ceiling tiles, which are distributed again throughout the Southwest and sold mainly into our commercial market. Third Bench Stone is our newest operation that we've expanded our stone operation and set up a new facility. Through Third Bench Stone, we were able to provide residential countertops to both Davis and Sherwood, and have recently broken into the commercial market, supplying our OGB architectural millwork clients. So just to reiterate and kind of go further into our products and services. Currently today, all of our residential cabinetry is provided by Third Bench cabinetry suppliers. So major brands like KraftMaid, Country Wood, Merilap are what are provided through our network of retail outlets. Countertops, as I mentioned, we've consolidated that into a single operation. Historically, both Davis and Sherwood were providing their own countertops, and we've consolidated that into a larger operation, which we think we can be able to expand into not only providing countertops for our retail customers, our commercial customers, but eventually into our builder market. And then we have our architectural millwork, which, as mentioned, has historically provided custom woodwork and millwork, but we have been able to identify some product lines which have been very well accepted by the market, and we think that there is a phenomenal future on the commercial side as well. So just to kind of dig in a little bit further into our customer base and who we're providing our products to. So we have general contractors. General contractors typically consist of commercial clients, but it also consists of multifamily housing developments. Again, we are able to provide services throughout Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. On a commercial side, generally about half of the commercial customers we provide services to will be healthcare related developments. And even prior to COVID, I mean, this is a great growing market. The healthcare space has been phenomenal, and we're seeing with the infrastructure bills, a lot of funds are being pumped into that through the federal government and stimulus bills. Then we have our home builders. So our home builders is what we think is going to be our fastest growing customer segment. Again, given where housing inventory is nationwide, particularly in markets throughout the Southwest, and the markets we service, we think that there's going to be a phenomenal opportunity to continue to provide cabinetry, countertops to all of these home builders throughout throughout our respective regions. Home builders are really kind of broken into a couple of categories. You have your custom home builders, which will typically do your higher end homes. You have regional home builders, and then you have your national home builders like your Lennars or your KB Homes. Again, we think there's phenomenal opportunity here, and continue to look forward to our footprint within the home builder market. And as of today, about 60% of our residential customers are home builders. And then we have our retail clients. So retail clients are really anybody that either walks into our showroom or a retail location off the street or are referred to us, which is typically the case. These are typically higher price, higher margin jobs. And as of today, make up about 40% of our residential clients. So just to dig a little bit deeper into what is going on in the market today, or the housing market today, and why we think that there is going to be such long-term demand in this space. You have all-time historical lows on your interest rates. As somebody who is closing on a home tomorrow, I mean, you're going to see interest rates that are as low as 3%, sometimes sub 3%. And this is something that is unprecedented, at least in our lifetimes. You have housing inventory, which a balanced market typically is at 6.5 months. And we haven't seen that for almost 10 years. So there's phenomenal demand for houses across the nation. And again, given what has been going on post-COVID with migrants coming from California or other high-cost states to lower-cost states such as the Southwest, like Arizona or Texas or New Mexico, the demand is even higher in markets that we're currently servicing. And again, we don't see any shortage, and every economic indicator that we read or that we see out there points towards long-term growth. Zillow is forecasting 13%, increases in housing prices due to demand over the next year. As we can see from our housing start graph, there's not been enough homes being built. Basically, since our 2008 crisis and the drop off during 2006, we haven't seen a rebound in the housing market and housing construction that we need in order to supply housing for all the folks who have the demand. And that again is reflected in the significant increase that we've seen over the past couple of years in housing prices. In addition, we're to the housing price increase, we're seeing increases in labor and lumber and everything that is within the construction stack, which has then been reflected in our prices, which is passed on to the consumer. And recently, just this year, we've done an average price increase of 15% across all of our products and services. Again, this is the first of what might be additional price increases, which will be reflected in our revenue in the coming future. And again, a lot of the home builders are seeing significant housing demand, which has spurred growth. And in addition to that, you're seeing the most upgrades in the history of some of these companies. So Toll Brothers, for instance, in their 53-year history, has seen the highest increase of upgrades in the company's entire history. This is being reflected across all home builders and across all remodeling clients, which is creating higher price points and higher sales across our operations, but across nationwide. So I think I'm running a little short on time, so I'll try to be a little bit quicker with this. So we have seen phenomenal operational synergies with what we've currently acquired and are currently operating. Again, we've been able to consolidate our accounting functions. We've been doing that over the past 12 months, and we are at a point where all of our billings, payables, and accounting functions have been centralized at our Albuquerque location, which gives us consistency across all of our operations, but also reduces payroll expenditures, where historically each one of these operations, as we acquire them, have had their own functions. And again, we've been able to consolidate our countertop operations. Historically, each one of these would have their own and or need to outsource, but we've brought that all in-house and consolidated that into a main countertop operation in Las Cruces, New Mexico, which is a very low-cost labor area. So, and as we continue to grow, we continue to see a lot more operational opportunities here. So again, centralizing operations, we've completed our accounting centralization, but we plan to continue to centralize our inventory management, our scheduling, and back office sales support. We see a lot of that being able to be done through leveraging technology. We've already identified a software which we will implement across all of our operations, which will standardize design, standardize pricing, and standardize information that is then pushed to our centralized corporate headquarters. And then as we look further into the future and what we really think, Third Bench can become over the next couple of months and couple of years, we want to look at providing our own proprietary residential cabinetry. We believe that will be well received by the market, and it can be sold through our own sales channels and into respective markets in which we operate. We believe that through low-cost cabinetry, we can then be able to supply multifamily housing and national home developers, which we could be very competitive with. So going further into our M&A strategy and what we see as our future growth, again, high volume, low cost residential cabinetry manufacturer is what we're seeking right now. And also opportunities to buy additional retail outlets, which will help us expand into new markets such as Phoenix, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin. These are the type of markets that we're looking at and where we think that where all economic indicators will point towards strong growth in the housing sector and population growth. What is unique, or what we believe is unique about this M&A market, is that there's an aging population with sometimes limited buyers. Sometimes they're too small to be attracted to a financial buyer or strategic buyer. But again, they have a very strong regional brand, established brand that's been around for decades, and a very stable business model. And when looking at any acquisitions, we typically look at very low debt leverage ratios. And we typically look at either an earnout or a long-term seller note to make sure that there's, call it skin in the game for the seller, to ensure that there's an easy transition and that all of the operations can be integrated smoothly. So going back and reiterating what we have today. So today we are definitely a dominant player in Southern Arizona, Southern New Mexico. And as far as the commercial market, we're one of the dominant regional players throughout Arizona, New Mexico, and West Texas on the commercial side. What we see as significant opportunities for us are markets like Phoenix or Dallas, or larger markets that we can break into through either acquiring a proprietary manufacturer of residential cabinetry or a new retail outlet. So again, just to kind of run through the economic trends right now, we're seeing significant demand for remodeling. We see no slowdown in the purchasing of homes, but either new and or existing homes. Typically, the existing homes is going to be your first-time home buyers. We're seeing it in inventory of existing homes nationwide of about 2 months, which is far below what it should be and far below what is known as a balanced market. Again, going into the statistics and the data that we're seeing in the marketplace, we've seen we're going to see long-term historical trends of growth in these markets You're seeing that reflected in your pricing, which will be then reflected in our pricing, which we're passing on to our consumer, and opportunities to enter additional markets. With markets like Phoenix or Austin that are seeing significant growth, we think those are phenomenal opportunities for us to get in and expand our geographic footprint and start servicing additional customers and additional markets. And again, as like all public companies, we do have our disclosure here, but that is the end of my presentation, and I'm really looking forward to the future of Third Bench, and I'm looking forward to all of you who want to be involved with the future of Third Bench as investors and following us as we grow. Thank you.
Fantastic presentation. Thank you. We have tons of questions for you, but we only have a few minutes left. We're going to go over a few minutes since we started you a little bit late, but let's get right into it.
Sure.
So where have your cost of materials been going since COVID, and where do you see them over the next 12 months?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And, lumber is something that everybody's been following lately. Luckily, well, I guess maybe not luckily, but so most of our manufacturing, at least on the millwork side, has been really particle board, which hasn't seen as much of a fluctuation as, say, lumber pricing. And again, as we've seen phenomenal or large price increasing from our residential cabinetry suppliers. However, that is pushed onto our customers. So if we see a 10%, price increase from our manufacturer of residential cabinetry, that is then, reflected in our prices to our customers and passed on to them.
So do you buy enough bulk that the material cost has not been affected so much?
On a raw material side, yes. So again, typically these within it, and if we have a long-term contract with any of our GCs or general contractors, that typically there's an opportunity to increase pricing as prices, fluctuate in our market.
So what are some ways that you plan to leverage technology in modernized operations?
Well, again, as I mentioned in my presentation, we have identified a design software, which we believe that we can integrate into, particularly in our retail locations. By utilizing that design software, we can have a better grasp on product, better control over inventory, better control over design, scheduling, and ensuring at the end of the day that the customer has a good experience, whether that be a home builder and or remodeler, that their designs are done right, that their product is shipped on time, and that their product is being installed on time. Again, at the end of the day, particularly on the home builder side, they want a reliable partner who is going to be there on time, who's going to have the product and going to have the design done right. When you're building a home and you're worried about how long your holding costs might be, that's really important to be that partner. And through through integrating technology, I believe that we can really get there. And in addition, we've recently, in the last 2 months, have hired a new marketing firm, of which we plan to really kind of start marketing to what we believe is our customer base through social media and other avenues, and really trying to be cost effective when it comes to our marketing strategies.
How do you find your prospect acquisition targets?
Well, typically we find them through our own network. So I think what has been beneficial for us has been that we've found through our network individuals who are looking to exit. So there typically isn't a, call it, traditional M&A marketing process, and we're able to build relationships with these folks and buy their companies without having to go through a competitive process. So again, I think that allows us to build a good relationship to negotiate, what I think are very beneficial deals for our company.
So can you give us some examples of expenses you have reduced through centralization?
Sure. Well, I guess kind of going back to our accounting function, traditionally, all of these operations, as we integrate them, they would have their own accounting function. So at each of the locations, we've been able to reduce staff by 2 to 3 people by centralizing our accounting functions. And we hope to do that with other various functions such as purchasing, which we're working on now, scheduling, and other what we see as back office functions.
So how do you ensure the continuity of the business?
So really how we do that is through, we have a good management team that, comes in place. Typically we will hire outside managers to come in and run the facilities. We think that we find that it is good to introduce, new blood into some of these operations, as some of them have been operated by folks, again, who are kind of in that aging population group and who haven't been as engaged with the business historically. But again, these have, very reputable brands that have been around for decades in their respective regions.
David, do you anticipate uplisting to another exchange?
Absolutely. So actually, as of this week, I'm exploring different accounting firms in which we can engage with to get audited and eventually uplist to another exchange.
And last question to you. What are your plans for the future for revenue growth?
There's a lot of different avenues here. I think, there's a significant opportunity through the countertop manufacturing operations that we just established and actually just opened last month. I think there's significant opportunity to provide countertops to our commercial clients and our home builder market. And again, there's the organic growth in the housing market in general we've really seen some significant demand across all our operations. Introducing our proprietary cabinetry line, I think, acquiring a residential cabinetry manufacturer would really kind of spur a lot of growth and make us a dominant player throughout the region if we're able to provide a low-cost, reliable cabinetry line to all of our home builders, for our regional and national home builders.
Well, fantastic. We have a bunch more questions for you, but we're going to send them directly to you so you can answer on your own time, because we're out of time here, but we certainly hope that you come back and give us an update in the near future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time and presentation, David.
All right. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Remember, as we transition to the next presenter, you're going to see a black screen, but don't go anywhere because we are coming right back.